Welcome to Doctrine and Devotion, a podcast exploring Christian faith and practice from a Reformed Baptist perspective. My name is Joe Thorne. I'm the lead pastor of Redeemer Fellowship in St. Charles, Illinois.
And I'm Jimmy Fowler, executive pastor at Redeemer Fellowship.
So have you gone into a restaurant to eat yet?
Yeah.
Yeah, where'd you go?
Barrel and Rye.
Oh, did you go over there?
Yeah,
now that
yeah.
you finally get into some places?
Birthday dinner.
Nice.
So
yeah, birthday month is over.
They surprised me. Michelle and the Hooses and the Earls. And
I wasn't invited to that surprise birthday celebration for you.
Yeah, it was good. It was fun, you know. They named a drink after me.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know if they... Obviously, you know, it was a old fashioned.
Okay.
But they smoked it.
Yeah,
so
that makes sense.
I'm like, yeah, okay.
Yeah.
They called it...
That's not an original drink. That's a...
Yeah, but they called it the
Fowler?
No, Fofo-ator? I don't know what they called it. I don't know. They had a name for it.
Speaking of Fofo, you got a piece of mail recently, didn't you?
Yes, I did.
Was that a voter registration? What was that? It looked official.
So let's go ahead and talk about
all I know is you sent a picture to me.
You know exactly what it was. You know exactly what happened. Oh, you know what? You can't admit it because it's voter fraud.
I have no idea. Why don't you just tell me what happened? Because I have no idea.
So, Trump spouts off a lot of things about, fraud and tampering. And some of the things I'm like, oh, he's posturing. You know what I mean? Just posturing.
Okay. All right.
And then, he had this whole thing about mail-in voting, how it's, you can tamper with that. There's a high probability of tampering with that.
Yes.
And I'm like, okay, maybe.
It happens.
It happens.
Yeah.
And then
only the Dems do it, though. Only the Dems do that.
Only them? Yeah. Okay. Because all of a sudden I got in the mail.
All right.
An official voter registration for a Fofo Fowler.
Ooh, man,
what is wrong with
the
you?
Gift that keeps on giving.
Why?
It's your birthday. It's your birthday month. Come on, man.
It was so I'm like.
It actually says Fofo. We'll put a picture of it. We'll blow out your address.
Yeah,
put the picture of
it. It says Fofo Fowler.
It's so great.
I couldn't believe it. I was
man.
like, oh, I just knew it.
I know you want to vote for him twice, so that's why.
Is that why you did that? But yeah, so that's it. But
I have not admitted anything, by the way. I'm
just
enjoying
and
what
you
happened.
can't. My lawyer would tell you to admit nothing.
He tells you,
admit nothing. Yeah.
Let your lawyer do the talking.
Less is more.
I love it. Did you? We haven't talked about it, but did you see that that thing that happened in St. Louis? I can talk about it because I'm from St. Louis, so. If anybody starts to say anything about what my opinions, then my opinions matter about St. Louis because I'm from St. Louis. So
okay,
and I'm from St. Louis. I'm not like from the burbs. I'm from St. Louis. I mean, we left when I was like 3 months old, but still, I think it counts.
Yeah,
you hear about the McCloskeys, the couple, the middle-aged couple, highfalutin lawyers. You've seen the picture.
They left their kid home.
No. It's
the Macaulays.
That's a different. That's the Chicago family.
Yeah, they left their kid at home twice.
Yeah. So no, the McCloskeys, middle-aged, highfalutin lawyers, St. Louis. You've seen the picture, I'm sure, because if I say this, you'll remember. Pink shirt, white striped shirt. He's holding an AR. She's holding a pistol.
Oh, you mean the guy sporting a AR that's also sporting the Donald Trump circa 2006 outfit?
Oh, yeah, I guess it is a similar outfit, yeah.
No, when you say similar, Joe, you are wrong.
No, it's only similar because he's not wearing shoes or socks.
Oh, okay, you know what? There you go.
There you go. I think the word you're looking for is touche.
Touche, yes. No, I did see that.
Yeah.
I did see that.
Crazy. So it's funny because, first of all, if you don't know what we're talking about, there was a march of a few hundred people on their way, protesters, demonstrators, on their way to the mayor of St. Louis's house. And so,
some protesting, yes.
Yeah. And so they're going to go there. They're mad about her releasing addresses and stuff like that.
Yeah, so they break the gate.
So they go...
allegedly break the gate, which, makes sense. How did they get in? The gate's broken.
It's a private gated community.
Yeah.
And there's a big sign that says, private property, private street. So somebody broke that gate down. It's like a 100-year-old gate. They broke the gate down. We can see that happened. We just didn't see who did it. And so these hundreds of people are on private property. And there's this giant stone mansion. This
that thing is
looks
gorgeous.
Whoa,
Gorgeous.
I mean, it's not as nice as the Fofo.
Stop.
Palace,
you know I don't
but,
have.
But
stop
it's
it.
not. No, I'm still be ashamed. It's okay.
Stop.
You know, I think they only have 3 stories. You have like
4,
at
but
least
it's
4.
but come on, chateaus in Italy typically have 4.
Oh, so that you're not like bragging by having only 4. I mean,
no,
they
I'm
all
on.
have
I'm
4.
on average.
Okay.
I'm on average over there. They're in Tuscany.
I love it when you roll with it. It's so fun. So I mean, this house is crazy. Anyways, no hating on that. That's cool.
Mm-hmm.
So they see all these people going by, and they claim that they saw a few people with guns and people yelling, "We're going to burn your house down." And so they're eating dinner outside, and so they come out. He's holding an AR, and she's holding a pistol, and people are freaking out about it. The only thing that I'm freaking out about is that they clearly have not had training. They don't know how to hold the weapons. She's got her finger on the trigger, like there's no trigger discipline. It's just they're flagging each other, and people. It is she's pointing the gun. At people
there was
in
a
the
photo.
crowd.
There's a photo of her, and it's actually pointing at the camera.
Yeah,
I'm like, you realize?
Yeah,
I'm not a gun guy.
This is bad. Yeah, this is.
I know point down.
Yeah. Yeah. So listen, I just think it's a fascinating. Everybody's talking about. We don't need to talk about it, but wow, that was. But what I thought was interesting was that they chose to go outside with clearly no training or bad training, or they didn't learn anything. But they chose to go outside instead of saying, "All right, everybody inside. Let's keep our people safe, and we'll just
Well, I mean, if the people are yelling, "We're going to burn your house," I don't think I'd want to be inside either.
Yeah, but if there are people out there with guns and you go out there, you are sort of like.
But guns deter people, Joe.
Yeah. Well, it didn't deter him.
But it deterred, whatever they were doing.
Yeah, well, maybe. We don't, of course, know if they were actually going to do this or not.
Yeah.
Big picture.
Everyone postures and yells and screams, but still, you feel that sense of, if you feel a sense of threatening.
I'm not mad at him.
Yeah.
I'm not mad at that family. I think I'm disappointed with how they handled their firearms. But, listen, if I was afraid for my family, I would grab firearms. Absolutely. Yeah, no doubt. No doubt. I would have played it different than they did. But, yeah, I think that they were.
But yeah, initially I thought I would just go right inside. That's me.
Yeah. No, get everybody inside, and then I stand at the door and just let everybody
knock. Do you stand at the door and knock?
And if you do not answer, I cannot. There's no door handle on the opposite. So, we did that episode on the Genevan Commons, and turns out we actually did have to apologize after all.
Yeah, you did, Joey. You did.
Because we attributed a statement that was made in the Geneva Commons that a guy made. Well, you said his name. I didn't say his name. So you're in there a little bit, but it's mostly me. Yeah, it's 99%.
Yeah.
So this guy referred to a woman as a whore. I'm sorry to use the language again, but that's what he does. And we mistakenly believed that he was referring to. You did too, but I said it. We mistakenly believed he was talking about Amy Bird. He was not. He was talking about another woman, and we have addressed that on the previous podcast. So we turned out we made a mistake. We had to own it.
It's time to cancel Joe.
Yeah, well, that's fine. You can cancel me. What's nice is that the only people that can cancel us is us. What are they going to do? Nothing. Yeah, well, we don't.
And listen, we canceled Joe. Then what are we left with? Steve.
Are you though?
I wouldn't know.
I miss Steve. Steve and I send each other TikToks.
Oh, that's so cute! Yeah. Wow,
it's the extent of our friendship. We don't get to see each other, hang out, or anything. But
I see him. I see him
all the time.
I see him every day.
Yeah, I see him. You literally see him every day, and I see him on Sundays behind a mask. That's about it. So yeah, man, we had our first service. With like full service.
Yep. Really good.
Not having communion, but
no, we got to figure that out. I got to work on that.
So by the way, a bunch of people are killing it. Brian's killing it. Chris, all the volunteers. But I just wanted to say, you're killing it. You're doing a lot of awesome work. Seriously, appreciate it.
Cool.
Man,
appreciate you, bro.
It was exciting, man, to get people back in and to see a good percentage of our people.
Fantastic.
Oh, man. And they live streamed the second service.
Yep. You know what? I did not look. How was the live stream?
It turns out pretty good. I mean, for us, right? I mean, I'm very impressed. I'm very happy with it. I'm sure the tech guys wish they could do more and have different camera setups and all that.
With what we have, it's what it is.
That's great. And for our people that can't make it, that's awesome. And you can go check it out at redeemerfellowship.org if you like. Unfortunately, the first sermon I thought was better than the second sermon, so you're stuck with the second sermon.
Did you still say what I wanted you, did you still,
Oh, the thing that I said the first time?
Yeah. Well,
that wasn't in my notes.
I know, you ad-libbed it.
Yeah.
And I'm hoping you still said it.
I tried to, but it didn't come out as good.
Oh,
yeah.
Man.
You put too much pressure on me.
Really?
Yeah, no.
Oh, gosh. I'm in the back of the place, like, giving an audible, woo! That was good.
Yeah, that distracted me for the rest of the day.
I was like, that was good.
God. Oh, scared me.
But it was good. I was like, whoa!
Yeah, to talk about blasphemy.
Mm-hmm.
And then, I found out that Sunday, this is how I am. I prepare. I work hard on my sermon prep, right? It's the big thing that I do.
Yep.
And
the only thing,
our sermons are mapped out in advance.
Oh, yeah.
And so the worship team knows what they're building around for worship liturgy and all that stuff. And so Sunday morning, I hear the guys whispering and talking. I'm like, what are we talking about? And you guys were like, don't worry about it. We're not gonna, we'll talk about it later. Which now I'm stressed. I'm like, no, I need to know now. And then they were like, yeah, you've apparently prepared this sermon, but in doing so, you're covering the verses for this week and the scheduled verses for next week. And I was like, oh yeah. Yeah, I wasn't really paying attention.
Cool.
So we're doing a one-off for this coming Sunday.
Oh, and, what are we gonna do?
We're gonna talk about the foundation and the practice and the pursuit of unity in the church among Christians.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and then we'll get back to it. So,
Good.
What are we talking about today, Jimmy?
Well, we're going to be talking about Chuck Lawless, his article, 10 Characteristics of the Best Bad Church Leaders I've Ever Known.
It's a nice, short list.
Yeah.
But it's actually thought-provoking and helpful. Of course, we can affirm and amen what he says here.
Yep.
We've all seen it, and most of us have fallen into many of these problems. But who has the most cowboy, old-school last name?
Chuck Lawless.
Lawless, man. That's
Chuck Lawless.
That's a
like I feel
cool
like
name.
I feel like I need a spittoon.
Yeah.
After Chuck Lawless.
Yeah. That should have been the name of the McCloskeys. Because they were lawful, I guess, but they were pretty cowboy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Chuck Lawless.
Chuck
Lawless.
Chuck Lawless does not sound like an educated guy, but he is.
What? Wait, what?
Because Chuck Lawless sounds like a cowboy. A cowboy isn't.
So you're telling me cowboys can't be educated?
No, by definition, when you're talking about
definition,
we're talking about the cowboys of the 1800s. They were not generally educated. They were
just foolish.
They don't have doctorates. No, I'm not saying they were foolish.
The Cowboys stays don't have.
No, but they play football. Oh, you're talking about. I'm sorry, I thought about Dallas Cowboys. Yeah, so, anyways, Chuck's article, 10 characteristics of bad church leaders,
of the best bad church leaders I've ever known.
In other words,
it's a mouthful.
There are very gifted leaders out there that aren't always so good. It's a fair way to put it.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And sometimes the most talented and gifted people, sometimes the smartest people, do really bad things and really disappoint us. And so you want to read that little intro paragraph that he's got to this list of 10?
In the past, I've written about characteristics of the best leaders I've ever known. Today, I write about church leaders I've known who are strong leaders on one hand, but poor leaders on the other. Here are some of their good and bad characteristics.
Good list. All right. Number one.
Okay.
They had a great
vision, but assumed others would follow them only because of the vision. They were sure vision would, trigger warning, trump anything.
He did it on purpose.
Include things like personal integrity and godliness. In fact, they couldn't imagine why anybody would not want to be on their team.
Okay, so this is a person that might have some sort of narcissistic disorder, or they just might have an inflated ego. But this is a person that can cast a good vision. They can clarify what the mission is. They can articulate it well, but that clear, articulate vision does not, in fact, trump or override the problems of personal integrity. It's not going to cover your ungodliness. So I think it's a pretty generous.
And I think we've seen that though, right? Like in well-known leaders, and maybe even at times have fallen into that ourselves, right? Where it's like, at least I have. I could see myself in this in the past of thinking, well, the mission that I'm on is so vital and important. Please look past my personal.
It's not about
shortcomings.
me. It's about the mission.
It's about the mission.
vision, yeah.
Guys, you're focused in the wrong area. I'm just trying to focus on God and doing what He wants us to do. Let's not focus on my sin.
As the prophet said, visionary. Vision is scary. So
that was really good.
Yeah.
Well,
10% of our audience.
Well done. Which prophet was that? The prophet Eminem?
That was Marshall Mathers.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah, and I think that that's a good way.
That was really, really well done.
See, that's what happened on church on Sunday. Yeah. And then you're like, you're going to say it again. Like, say what? I don't know. You're like, the Eminem quote. And I'm like, I don't know. I think that there's a sense in which there's some truth there. Like listen, don't focus on me. Yeah. Focus on the vision. Okay, in a sense, right? Like the vision is bigger than us. We don't want to build a culture around a leader. Yeah. But our leadership does matter. Or the character of our leaders matters. And so that's I think a pretty common one. What about number 2? It says these leaders have demonstrated preaching and communication skills, but are unwilling to consider any need for improvement. After all, why should they worry about improving when their track record already proves their skill? See,
this one to me is a bit worrisome, right? Like the idea that, I mean, maybe I'm being uncharitable, like that I've arrived, that I don't need to move forward. Because, I mean, best case scenario here is, like, if for me to be gracious to the individual was thinking, I don't have time to improve those things. I want to pour that energy into other aspects of ministry. And if it ain't broke, why fix, right?
Well, here would be the pushback on that. And it would be, get that, great. But any person who is strong on preaching would say that it's one of their most important ministries. And if it's one of your most important ministries, then you need to continue to work on it. If it deserves the emphasis that good communicators place on it, then they should then recognize the need to continually work on it, not just in it. Now, maybe I think, I don't know exactly why it is. It's probably a combination of personal insecurity, helpful constructive criticism that I get on the regular, and this that I want to get better. I'm open to feedback, and I continue to work on my preaching. That's not because I'm godly. It's like a multiplicity of contributing factors here that make me open to it. But I can imagine that, if you are getting the attaboys and you're the man and this is great and like all of that all the time, that could probably harden you up to any kind of criticism. And so, I think and you don't have to be a celebrity for that to happen. I mean, I've known preachers that are not open to any form of constructive criticism.
Same. Oh gosh, goodness. So, like, what are some ways though you personally, as the lead preaching pastor, what are those ways that you're continually looking to improve?
Well, I try to read the new books that come out on preaching if I hear or think that they will be good to read. And I'm constantly evaluating my preaching. So I revisit, say, some of the classics, or I revisit the principles that I say I want to use for my sermon development. So through personal evaluation, I get feedback from people like you and Brian and others. I mean, sometimes people just offer up thoughts that are helpful. And if they're not helpful, it's like, okay, well, it didn't connect to them for some reason. And so that helps me. So I think being open is a part of it. And to be honest, because from time to time, I wind up coaching people and I'll coach preachers on their preaching. Anytime you're helping somebody else, if you're paying attention at all, you'll realize, like, wow, I've got some stuff to work on here too. Yeah. Like if you're taking somebody through marriage counseling, you wind up going like, I got to do that.
I should listen more.
Yeah. Listening is good.
Yeah.
So, I think that's a fair criticism. What about number 3?
They built a great leadership team, but didn't see that the team didn't want to work for them. They sought, recruited, and secured other great leaders, but those same great leaders, for various reasons, grew tired of following them.
We've seen this happen a number of times in the last 5 years or so.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so like you can know the kind of people that you need to lead out in your team, in your ministry, in your business, but just because you have a great team doesn't mean that you are leading them well.
Correct. And that even that they want to continue to be led, right? Like, I mean, I remember my dad telling me once, the worst thing you do is force someone to work for you, right? If they don't want to be there, let them go. Just let them go. Like, send them off, find a way, cut them loose. because if they don't want to be there, they ain't going to pour the energy. There's no excitement. They're not going to care anymore. And I think it's the same thing in ministry. You see that senioritis kind of attitude where people begin to check out of their roles. And when you see that happen, it's time to cut bait. It's time to just say, listen, have an honest and transparent conversation. Is something going on? Is, do you have a lot of concerns that you're working through? Is there something going on in your personal life that I could be praying for? Is this just a season, or is this maybe a way God's saying it's time to move on?
Right. And maybe he's talking about essentially bad church leaders, right? And so in this case, we could say the person that has the highest or at least most recognizable position is somehow disconnecting himself from the other leaders. And so while he might say, look, well, you can go if you're not happy, the better solution might be to have him step down.
I've seen that too. So I'm looking both ways here.
Right.
One, it could be, but I have seen and experienced, I left a church because of that, right? And actually years later, when I sat down with him, that pastor at that time, and he was still the pastor at that church, we were talking and conversing, and I said, hey man, I don't want to say his name, but I said,
Ricky Bobby.
Hey, Ricky Bobby, it should be telling that everyone leaves you. Like, have you not noticed that you're really excited when we're on staff with you, and then something happens and there becomes conflict, and all of a sudden we're all gone, and yet it was our fault.
Right.
Like, have you ever took stock of that? Right. That should speak volumes to you on your leadership style. If no one can stick with you for that long.
Yeah. And we've seen people who have built strong churches who have been asked to step down or who have been let go.
Yep.
The church is amazing, but they have not done a good job in connecting with their people or whatever it is.
Yep.
It's funny. I knew a guy. I met this guy after he got fired from a church because of his, I guess, his leadership style. And then, I met him when he was joining another church. And then he got fired from that church for his leadership style.
At that point, at that point, your style is aggressive.
Probably time to take some serious stock and be like, maybe it's not the church. Maybe
my style.
Yeah.
Maybe the style is what's wrong here.
Yeah, it could be like that 90s grunge style, which was totally lame. So,
is that it?
Yeah,
okay.
I'll take a dig there. All right. Number 4. They publicly promoted godliness, but privately lived otherwise. Their hypocrisy was behind closed doors, as it most often is. And so, like, we've seen this. Usually it happens in a big way when there is a well-known figure who's always talking about the gays, or they're always talking about, some particular sin. And then it comes out like they've been doing that very thing behind the scenes. They get busted for it. But it's not always so televised, right? It's oftentimes that people, and it's not even that they're being legalistic, but they're holding people to certain standards all the while they are living a private, wicked life, and their sins find them out.
Yeah, I think there's even promoting godliness in our marriage, or promoting godliness in our homes, or in our own sanctification, yet we're not doing that, right? Like, whether it's for some pastors struggling with porn addiction, or lusting, or lack of personal study, or lack of prayer in their life, or talking about how promoting from the pulpit loving your wife and treating her and honoring her, and yet behind closed doors
your wife's like
this.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, exactly. Yeah,
Preach it, preacher.
I don't remember the last time I was honored.
Yeah, that's a really good point. And there's a couple of things here that I'm thinking about. One is, if you're calling people to repentance, then you had better be a repenter.
Yeah,
and doesn't mean you need to be perfect. Of course, we're not. That's the whole point. Repenters inherently are imperfect. They mess up. They screw
Hence,
up.
repenting.
That's why you do it. And it's also a good idea to share an aspect of your struggle with the sins that you are addressing in the pulpit, if it's relevant at all.
And appropriate.
Yeah. It's not
and appropriate. That the pulpit's not a confessional.
Yeah, it's not your accountability buddy.
Yeah.
So you don't want to make it about you, and you don't want to be salacious or whatever in the way that you're talking about your struggles, but certainly people do need to know, hey, listen, I'm calling you to repentance. I'm calling myself to repentance here. Like, we need to be people who have hearts that are sensitive to the Lord and sensitive to our sin, so that I am challenged here with you. I'm not just challenging you. The Lord is challenging us all. It's an important aspect of preaching that good preachers, I think, are careful to hit.
Number 5, they bragged about their staff, but failed to realize they were disconnected from that staff. Everybody else seemed to know it, but the leaders themselves somehow missed it. The staff thus felt unappreciated even when they heard their praises.
So it's there's some kind of distance, right?
Yeah,
some kind of a disconnect. Like
there's a lack of relationship. So like, okay, I'm going now in from my experience, just even on a secular level, but I think it applies. At work, I'm in the front office. I'm dealing with customers. I'm taking care of deals. I'm running things, right? But I always made a point that I'm out on the floor. I'm talking with people. I'm checking in, asking them how their kids are doing, right? Asking about what's going on in their lives. How are they seeing things on the floor? Letting them know I'm seeing your numbers. They're looking good. I'm trying to. I build that relationship. And a lot of these employees have been around for 10 plus years, right? And so I guess what I'm getting at there is it's important for me to build a relationship on a personal level that they know I actually care about them,
right?
And that I actually notice them, rather than always, like, it's easy to be that CEO in the front office that's completely disconnected. So like when I sit there and see these CEOs talking, praising people, it's like, well, you don't really know that individual to be able to praise. And I think the same thing here when we talk about staffing is when the senior pastor or lead pastor or preaching pastor or head elder, whatever you want to call them, when the bishop, when they are not getting to know their people and spending time with their staff know that. Yeah. And then they think somehow you think you're better, right? That you're too good to come and have lunch with us. You're too good to come chit chat and have a coffee break. You're too good to check in and see, what's going on in my personal life. And so, but people value that. People value that connection with the senior staff.
I think about it like there are two sides to this same coin about building the relationship, and that is availability and intentionality. Right. So you need both. Yeah. You need some level of availability or access so that people can come to you if they initiate, because you probably, with your staff, it should be a smaller number. You should be able to be intentional with your staff, with your leadership. But so you need to make the intention, but also remain open or available for them. So it goes both ways. But as a person in a lead position, you need to make sure that you're not only available, because that would be my default. Hey, I'm available. You want to talk? Cool.
See, and that to me is the arrogance, right? Like, and I'm not saying you're being like that, but that's the danger of that. The arrogance of you come to me, I don't come to you.
Right. And it's some people might have like, I don't want to overstep. Like, I always find it, and I've struggled with it for a long time. Especially when I first got into the pastorate back in the 90s, people, especially in this particular context, when the pastor would call or visit or make an effort, like, it was, to them, it was like, wow, that's very nice. And I always felt like, why would you want to hear from me? Like, it just was, because I didn't grow up in church, maybe, I'm not really sure, but it's like.
Well, you also hate being with people.
I don't hate being with people. I just prefer to be by myself.
Okay. Oh, there is a difference.
Preference.
Okay. Preference, yes. I prefer not you.
I prefer, not I hate you. I prefer not you.
No, it's not that I hate you. I prefer me.
Yeah, and or nothing. Not that I hate you. I just prefer.
Now I understand why you really are drawn to Bigfoot.
He is the champion social distancer.
He's by himself.
He, keeps to himself.
No one's bothering him. He ain't bothering no one.
He's self-sufficient, self-reliant. He's the ultimate stoic. There's a lot to admire about Bigfoot. He's got long hair.
Yeah.
He is the heavy metal of the animal kingdom. That's why I like Bigfoot. All right. So, I think we would do well to genuinely value and seek to build those relationships as much as possible. Everybody's going to have different availability.
Yeah.
So
and don't expect people are going to be best friends either. That's not it. It's not going to like.
We used to be best friends.
No, we still are.
Oh, really?
Yeah, we are, Joe.
Okay,
we are.
Mm-hmm.
Man,
you have many best friends now. I think that's what it is.
That's not true.
Mm-hmm.
I will say it on the air. That's not true, Joe.
You have no best friends?
What? No.
Oh, okay.
Gosh,
I just have like all kinds of birthday parties and everything with all these other people. I didn't get invited, so I'm the guy. I got you a present, and I wasn't invited to your party.
But your present is the only present that's
is
with me all the time.
Mm-hmm. Is it already getting a patina?
Yep.
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 Look at that.
Nice.
Look at that. You want to see it?
Mm-hmm. Looks nice. I like it. Okay, let me see.
See?
Ooh.
Yeah, see? It's getting there. It's getting there.
It looks cool. I think I'm going to keep it.
No, what? It's mine.
That brass. Okay.
All right.
What about number 6?
Number 6. They emphasized... No, sorry. Yes, number 6. They emphasized relevance and change, but fought change in their own office. It's funny sometimes how leaders will tell others what they must do while completely ignoring that application in their own world.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, people don't like... I knew a pastor who told the congregation all the time, we need to have a plurality of elders. We need to have a plurality of elders for years and years and years, but would never implement it. And the excuse was, none of you are ready. None of you are ready. When we got some people that are ready. Some of these people are ready.
Yeah.
And they're mature, they're godly. And it turned out in the end, that guy didn't want to be held accountable. He was like, I know, I kind of like my gig the way it is. Do my thing all the time. Can you imagine me without elders?
Oh,
well, first of all,
you'd have no church.
The church would die, and within the first year, the church would be gone. It wouldn't exist anymore, right? Or it'd be a cult, a very successful cult.
I don't know about successful.
Oh, it could be.
I don't think so. No,
don't underestimate my charisma, Jimmy.
No, you'd have to have some organization to make that happen.
No. I get my one of my multiple wives in the cult to do that stuff for me. That's how it works.
One of your multiple wives.
Well, if you're starting a cult, the smart ones. I don't know. The ones that have talent in that area. I don't know.
I was going to try to see if I had to rebuke you if you'd said a name.
Oh no! I don't have any. No,
I was gonna catch up. This is gonna be a gotcha. It's time for a rebuke.
I don't dream or imagine that sort of stuff. I'm just saying, like, if I started a cult,
But I like though that you said if I start a cult, one of the parts of the cult is multiple wives.
Well, so every good cult has multiple. Name a good cult that doesn't have multiple wives. But Heaven's Gate was a terrible cult. They all died. They all committed suicide. Yeah. See. All right. Let's get back to it, Jimmy. What are we talking about? Oh, yeah. You got to be willing to change in your own office. Number 7, they stressed family values but failed to see the pain in their own family. In fact, some of these leaders wrote on the topic even while their own home was falling apart. I've known pastors that have done this.
Yeah.
And it puts us on high alert as pastors, like, because we've seen people really hurt their families. And you were just mentioning this about, preachers talking about loving your wives and they're not loving their wives. We need to be sensitive. I think there's a sense in which you, as a husband or a wife, you should always have a sense of conviction about where you fall short in your pursuit of loving your spouse, while being encouraged by the fruit that you do see God doing in you. So you can be encouraged on the one hand, but you should still remain convicted where you see the areas where you're falling short so that you will repent and work on those areas.
And be... I'm trying to think of the word, like I'm using the word strong on this, and I can't think of a better one. To actually set clear boundaries, right? Because it's so easy in ministry to be overwhelmed and to have that Jesus mentality, right? Jesus, like,
you don't want to have the Jesus mentality.
No, I don't talk about like the Savior
tweet
complex.
This out.
There you go.
Jimmy says, don't have the Jesus mentality.
But like that Savior complex,
right.
Of like no one else is doing it. They can't do it. I have to do it. Everyone's depending on me. So
I'm going to sacrifice my family. I'm going to
sacrifice my family on the altar of ministry, and that ain't right.
No.
And so having clear boundaries with people and the church and with the leadership and whoever else, so that you're protecting your wife. I mean, there was a season. I mean, listen, sometimes it's going to happen, right?
Yeah.
And for a little season, but you got to be intentional to cut that off as fast as possible, and to make sure your spouse is okay with.
Revisit that season that you had talked about in the past, where you and your wife agreed for the next season for a couple of years, it's going to be very hard, but that's going to get us to where we want to be for the next level. Why don't you talk a little bit about that and how your wife handled that?
Yeah. No. I mean, just like you said, I was doing ministry at the time, as well as schooling online. And we knew, okay, this is going to be rough. We know this is going to be tough. baby Cohen's on the way. Before Cohen, she was working as well. And so it's like, we're going to hardly see each other. But during this time, it's going to be rough. Are you okay with that? Let's, and how could we do check-ins with each other? But once that season's over, and I will try to end that season as fast as possible. But even in the midst of that, trying to find opportunities to love and care for my wife. But for me, the lesson I really grabbed from that is not allowing myself to get to that position unless it's absolutely necessary.
Right.
And I don't allow other people to tell me that it's necessary.
Right.
Right. And that's just it. I don't allow the even here at Redeemer, I don't allow the elders to tell me that it's necessary for me to sacrifice my family, which they never would. But I'm just saying, I've been in chururs where they have.
Yeah.
And at my last church, they did, where there was this expectation of you would be doing all this. And yeah, I mean, it is what it is. This is the job, Jimmy. It's like, no, that's not what's going to happen.
Listen,
here.
Jimmy, Jesus brought a sword to divide the son from the father, the son from the.
But I also don't let church members, right? I don't let church members because their life's falling apart doesn't necessarily mean mine has to, right? Mm-hmm. And that's just the reality of it. I'm not going to sacrifice my relationship with my wife.
I remember when you had to finish up your school.
Oh, that was another season.
Yeah,
gosh,
and that's when I was thinking about you. You were working full time at your company.
Yep,
which is a very full time job, and you were a very full time student.
Yeah, I was doing 20 to 22 credit hours.
So, and again, that was a family decision that was made.
That was between Michelle and I. mean, for the first few years, my neighbors thought my wife was a widow. Because they're like, we never see your husband. You talk about being married.
Yeah,
you got the ring on there, mm-hmm. but he's not out at any of the barbecues or any of the get-togethers. And there's a light on at where you say his office is, but we don't see anyone in there. Mm-hmm. And they're just like, something might be a little bit off here.
So and I also think about the kids, right? Like for a lot of pastors, kids are under a lot of pressure in many churches, especially the kids of pastors, because sometimes it's the pastor himself that holds his kids to an unrealistic standard.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's the congregation that holds the pastor's family to an unrealistic standard. And so you've really got to guard your kids from that. You got to let your kids be kids, let them screw up and make mistakes, and they'll own that when they do that. But they should not be held to a different standard than other kids.
Yeah.
And they shouldn't have to feel like they're in the fishbowl. And I hear
and
that all the time.
They shouldn't be punished for being your kid.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean,
just because your life decision, like your job, the career that the Lord has given you, mm-hmm. they shouldn't be punished for that.
Right. I was told frequently throughout Bible college and seminary, like, you're going to live in a fishbowl. Everybody's going to be watching you. And to a large degree, that's true in probably most churches. However, I don't feel that at Redeemer. Obviously, we are more visible. And so more people do pay attention and more people do notice what we do, whether it's good or bad. But I've never felt like that the congregation is scrutinizing me or my family. And if anything...
No, we have a different channel, Slack channel for that.
You have a special Slack channel?
We have a special Slack channel. It's called Not Joe.
Not Joe? That's my whole... Not you. That's
not
my
you.
Thing. Not you. All right. What about number 8? It says they pushed missions but refused to go themselves, and their refusal was for no reason other than they simply didn't want to travel that far. Do as I say, not as I do, was their missions motto. I haven't personally run into that with pastors that I know, but I'm obviously, and this is a guy that's been involved.
Yeah, I've never heard. I personally have not heard someone say, "I don't want to travel that far." I have
a pretty weak answer.
It is. I have, but equally, I've heard a weak answer of, I need to focus on what I'm doing here. I'm here to empower others to do that, mm-hmm. right? And I think that to me is just the same weak answer of, I get that we're not all people are called to missions, right? Like as far as like vocationally, but even that short-term experience with your congregation speaks volumes to them, and neglecting to do that because A, you might just not want to, and B, you're going to use the excuse that I need to focus my attention here, I think is weak.
Yeah. And again, one of the things that pastors are called to do is to lead and to guide, to instruct. And one of the big ways that pastors should do that is by example. And so, yes, it's good to be involved in all kinds of ministry activities as you have the opportunity, and missions is definitely a good.
And you might be providentially hindered, right? And there I think there are times where people are providentially hindered.
You could be on a no-fly list or something, you know what I mean? And then
No,
you just can't go.
Okay.
Yeah.
Here's a not to put you in a position, right? Mm-hmm. But like, you know, you had your parents and your grandma living there. You'd be providentially hindered from going.
Yeah, I couldn't leave.
Couldn't leave, exactly.
Or
right?
if I did.
Then Jen couldn't, right?
Jen would be.
So, like, I mean, there's things like that, right? Mm-hmm. Health reasons or health concerns. Mm-hmm. I mean, there are definitely valid reasons. So I don't want to give the impression that if you're not going, that's weak. Right. I'm saying if you're using certain excuses, that's if you're using a weak excuse, that's weak. But there's definitely valid reasons why a senior pastor or senior leadership is not able to go.
What about number 9?
They understood the importance of confrontation, but used their staff to do the hard confrontations. In fact, they often confronted others only through email or public articles while avoiding face-to-face discussions.
Well, first of all, I don't know why you're looking at me, because that's definitely not me. I don't do email and public articles.
Well, no, or just not doing it.
Yeah, I confront people.
Or through text.
Yeah, I confront people. I don't confront people through text. You're going to make me look bad for everybody. I don't do that. You're thinking of one specific situation.
Multiple.
You're thinking of one specific thing, and it's like, and you're really taking it out on me when it's not me. I don't buy it. I don't appreciate it.
But I appreciate you. So, Joe. Mm-hmm. Instead of the importance of confrontation, and they're variable, but use their staff to do the hard confrontation. I have seen that, though. I have seen that where it's like you see like the bully pastor, right?
Yep.
But I think this is like another. Yeah. It's another form of a bully pastor. It's just maybe not cowardly one.
Yeah, I think it's the difference between some pastors love confrontation, they thrive on it, and they love beating people down,
and they want to be the aggressive, but there's still that like passive guy that's pushing others to do the work for them, and that to me is like it's aggressive, but it's cowardly. Yeah. So rather than standing firm and with your convictions, especially as a lead, right, and especially as a lead pastor, not having that. The guts, I guess, to deal with it. Yeah, it's hard, and it might be. I don't know if scared is the right word. I mean, maybe it is. Like, maybe they're afraid of like how are they going to react, or is our relationship going to change?
Some people
are they going to quit on me?
Yeah, some people don't want to be thought of as the bad guy. And, you know, it's one of the things that we tell people, like, and like I've had to have this conversation a lot where. We're working maybe with a ministry team leader, and they're like, well, how are we going to handle this? And you say, well, let's do it this way. And they're like, I think that's best, but some people aren't going to be happy. And we tell them, you lay the blame at me or at the elders. Like, yes, we'll go ahead and take that, because ultimately we're responsible for this. And so
we're totally fine with that. Yeah.
It's if we weren't, then we wouldn't want the decision to go forward.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like, if we're for it, then let's go ahead and take the hit.
Then we're going to stand behind it then. That's just it. If you're for that decision, you believe in that decision, then you stand by that decision, regardless of maybe some of the knocks you're going to take, right?
Yeah. And then number 10. They had infectious passion for their work, but allowed their passion to devolve into rudeness and impatience. They so badly wanted the job done that they sometimes ran over people to get there. Ooh. So, yeah, again, this is sort of the bully aspect of you so believe in the calling, you're so passionate about the cause that you wind up running people over. And as long as people get on the bus, quote unquote, they won't get run over by the bus.
Yeah, I was going to say, I don't think I've had... I'm just trying to I don't think I have an example in my own personal life. I mean, I've seen rudeness and impatience, but maybe that's what it is.
Ministry demands patience because you're dealing with people.
Yeah.
And sometimes that can, we can claim patience as sort of a cover for inactivity or a lack of motion.
But
but ultimately, we do have to be patient with people, and and again, not excuse sin or slothfulness, but we do need to be patient, because sometimes it takes time to get people to move or to see or to understand, just like it takes you and I time to learn things. God has to teach us. It doesn't happen immediately. We've got to be patient with people as well.
Well, we'd love to hear your thoughts. You can follow us online on Instagram and Twitter @DocAndDevo, or on Facebook /Doctrine and Devotion. You can head to the website, drdevotion.com. There you can contact us. You can sign up for the email blast, or hit up the store, jofostore.com, and grab some gear. Fresh Pod every Monday and Thursday. Blog post on Wednesdays. Later.